Hello, my name is Kiriath, and today we are going to take a look at some Orktober stuff. You heard me correctly. Orktober is here once again. Games Workshop is not doing anything for Orktober this year, and in fact, did they do anything last year? I think Orktober was actually like 2 years ago now. Either way, Kromlech, or Bits of War, depending on how you know them, it's kind of confusing. They do Orktober. And they have done what they did last year, and they have released some pretty good-looking orc stuff. So, we have basically alternatives to Games Workshop models here. Starting out with the Boom Killer Death Stomper and the Orc Crushinator Death Stomper. So, as we can see, these are essentially Stompers. They are slightly different in terms of the size, considerably taller. This lad, as you can see, for a direct whited out comparison. If we get the lad up here, I've also prepared this here. So there's your Games Workshop one, and there is your Kromlech one. The Kromlech one is, Bits of War one, whatever. This one is significantly chunkier. There's a lot more going on in terms of like the size of the head. It feels a lot more heavily armoured. It's a good looking model, I have to say. I do like it. I prefer the feet on this version. I really do. The feet on the normal Stomper are fine, but that just looks more interesting to me. So yeah, that's kind of a cool difference. Obviously, there are a lot of differences, really. All the different bits of iron girder that are sticking out of the body is really good. The head on this one especially is nicely done. As you can see, there's plenty of customization options there. It's also wood. Now, that is the thing that actually surprised me, because I expected it to be all resin, but it's not. It's high-density fiberboard with some resin components. I have no idea what this material is like to paint. I'll be honest, I've got no clue. I have absolutely no idea. The idea of using fiberboard instead of resin, I'm assuming that is almost entirely to cut down on cost. I reckon probably, I'm not like an expert in terms of how much resin costs, but I would suggest that for something the size of a Stomper, to do that in resin, given that, we know the scale of this thing, especially since in one of the earlier pictures, they did put a little picture of a Games Workshop orc down the bottom. I'm assuming to do that in resin, you would be looking at something considerably more expensive than the €99.99 that this actually costs. In fact, you know what? Let's have a quick check. If we look for a Stomper with head, arms, there we go. So the Forge World variant of this is £166. Now I'm guessing that for them to make this, in resin, would cost considerably more. I don't know. I really like the look of it. I just have no idea how it would paint. So the Crushinator Death Stomper is basically the same thing, but you've got a difference in heads and a difference in weapons. The massive saw arm is quality. You can get the arms, like the weapon, separately. That is a quality looking weapon. I really like that. It looks really, really just brutal. And again, you got your orc boy for scale there. Yeah, I feel like this would probably end up being way more expensive if they did it in resin. Doing it with fiberboard does kind of make sense, but sure, you know what? I'm tempted to grab. Not one of these. I'm not going to grab one of these. Start with something more reasonable. I'm tempted to grab like a bit of. They do as it says, tabletop scenics, and I believe that is in. That's in HDF. So I'm tempted to pick something up and see how it paints. Because, of course, the finish on these looks absolutely fine. It looks good. But is it actually that easy? I don't know. It'd be nice to find out. So, there are also... I love these things. Killer Nors. So it's killer cans, but there's massive squigs instead. Bunch of different weapons options. I just look at it. Look at it. Look how good that is. It's quality. I'm loving it. There is so much personality packed into these. And there's 3 variants. They're so good. I mean, look at that. Look at it. I like the fact you got the little gobbo on top, piloting it. Oh, they are so well done. They're so cool. Way better than just normal killer cans. I'll be honest. I think these are cooler than just normal killer cans. They're way better. Also, good separation of components there. Not massively customizable by the look of it. Probably could do a bit of weapon swapping, but in terms of like the actual model itself, the body is just one chunk. But then again, look at it. Look. Oh, quality. It's such a good idea. It's such a good idea. Someone must have already done this, right? Someone must have already done this. Surely. Surely. How'd you not? So there's also the HDF Stompas construction yard. Oh yeah, the killer Nors are how much were they? 20 euros each. That's not terrible. Let's have a quick look and see how much a killer can goes for these days. Oh, killer cans, 32.50 for 3. So that's a significant price difference. Although you can get the killer Nors in a squad of 3. Is there a discount there? Yeah, there is a discount there. There is a discount. I'm not sure what the exchange rate is between quid and euros at the moment. Probably terrible, to be honest. But so yeah, there's the construction yard as well. Again, made using HDF. I'm pretty sure all of their tabletop scenic stuff is, or at least the vast majority of it. I mean, if you can get decent results out of it, the material doesn't really matter all that much. It's just a case of, I think, adjusting to something new, isn't it? Although I say it's a case of adjusting to new. I could never adjust to metal models. I hated painting those. So, 50 euros for that. I mean, that's hard. What size is it? Oh wow, okay. I hadn't noticed the orc lad down the bottom left there. Turns out that's a pretty big bit of scenery. Yeah, that is kind of gonna dominate your gaming table in a good way if you paint it up nicely. Anyway, so there's also the pumpkin Nor, which is only 10 euros, and it's a squid with a pumpkin for a head. That's literally it. That's it. That's the whole thing. It's cool, maybe a little bit niche, maybe not all that usable. Well, I suppose if you're gonna do like a loon, whatever, moon loon, squig loon, what are they called? The gobbos with all the loon curse, those lads? You could totally throw in a pumpkin squig. You could absolutely do that. Also got a Orc Freak in 2 different scales. So there's a collector's edition one, which is bigger, and there's just a normal miniature size one. I have to say, I think these look really, really good. These are super well sculpted. There's a lot of personality. There's a really good mix of kind of more simplistic stuff. Like he's got that square bell off to one side. There's the bones tied to the staff. The staff has got just an icon on it, but it's also got that what is it, like, not Tesla coil? Tesla coil? You know what I mean. The electricity things that you can see on the model. There's a nice mix of different styles going on here that actually I think works really well. I will say I prefer the paint job on the collector's edition one. I think just because it's bigger, it flows a bit nicer. I like the fact that he's like almost taking off, but he's got that big ball and chain, and his little assistant there keeping him grounded. Looks decent quality as well. Although, of course, that can change depending on how the cast comes out. And there's a Shaman head and a Mech Boss head. I do like the Mech Boss head. I think I prefer that one. That's the one they've used on the Collector's Edition one, and yeah. It's a good-looking model. It is a good-looking model. And finally, there's this. There's Norzella. So Norzella is €80, and you can see him there next to a Forge World Squigoth. Totally forgot the name of it then. Funnily enough, that exact image, but completely desaturated. It's good to show scale, though. So slightly taller, a bit thicker, I want to say. Maybe a tad longer as well. Seems like there's more material. So this is a multi-part resin, so there's no HDF here apart from the base. I like the fact that the top is flat. That's quite nice. Gives you multiple options for that. They're about, I mean, they are like comparatively priced there. So the Squigoth is 89, and the Norzella is 80, and it's 89 quid in Forge World, whereas the Norzella is €80. But yeah, this is a cool model. I like this. It's another thing of the Squigoth is still not my favourite, and as such, the Norzella is also not going to be my favourite. But I can appreciate the aesthetic, even if it's not something I personally would get. It looks to be nicely done. Of course, very, very familiar, very similar. But yeah, a cool alternative model. I don't know how long it's going to be around, to be fair. It might not be all that long. It might just be during October. I think they brought the Tiger Tank back as well, the Orc Tiger Tank. I think they brought that back for this year as well. But that's in like limited numbers, so it might be that these are just going to be like limited edition things going forward, and they're available at this time of year and then no longer available after that. It's a decent, again, looks like a decent model. So yeah, there's some Orktober stuff available from Kromlech, not Games Workshop. So there's some alternative stuff to Games Workshop's Orc offerings in the hallowed sacred month of Orktober. I have to admit, I've had a couple of things from Kromlech, and they've been decent quality. They've been nicely cast. There hasn't been much cleanup that's been necessary. Their Orc range is, I think, a little more stylized, like exaggerated, I think, than the Games Workshop stuff. It's very much, of course, a matter of personal taste, but the quality of the stuff that I've got from there has been decent so far. I am very tempted to grab a bit of scenery and see what painting HDF is like, because that could be an interesting experience. But yeah, there is some Orktober stuff happening over there. I will put a link in the description if you want to check it out. This isn't like a sponsored thing or anything like that. I just thought I would show you some alternatives, because Games Workshop, whilst they do make excellent miniatures, are not the only miniatures company in the world. There are plenty of others, and it'd be nice to highlight that every now and again. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you thought of those in the comments down below. In the meantime, feel free to click all the things, Patreon, video, subscribe, all that stuff. And as always, there's an affiliate link in the description for Element Games, which you can use to support the channel if you would like. I leave it in your capable hands. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.